Hey guys, welcome back. I am starting a new segment on my channel called Stephanie Says because I feel like there's some things that I just kind of want to talk about, but I don't really have an official way of categorizing it or coming up with some new random title. But today I wanted to just talk about some drugstore products that I've been trying and loving, and they're not a specific brand. It's not, a dupe video or anything like that. It's just, hey, I liked some of them, I didn't like others, and I just wanted to talk about it with y'all. So let's get started. If you guys are interested in seeing what I liked and didn't like from the drugstore, just keep watching. Okay, the first two that I'm going to talk about are two contour palettes. One is Wet n Wild and one is from e.l.f. I played around with these off and on for several weeks. And, if you look at the e.l.f. contour palette, there's 4 colors here. And you've got this really dark shade here that's really good for actual specific contouring. And this one that kind of looks like it would work for a bronzer. And then you've got this highlight shade and then this kind of banana-ish shade. I thought I liked this at first. I really did. But after playing with it a little bit, I found that it just wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to be. So here is the palette right here again. And looking from lightest to darkest, ignore this right here. This is a Laura Mercier Caviar Stick that would not come off with my white. This is the darkest shade. This is that middle shade. This is just that kind of banana shade, and this is the highlight shade. So I'm just gonna kind of swirl this around for you guys to see. I was using the contour a lot. I found that I had to work at blending it. I did like it. It created a nice shadow. It was a great, cool, grayish tone, which I like. You don't want things to be orangey when you're contouring. So this one I was using to bronze a little bit because really there's almost no pigment here. I'll take my finger again. There's just no pigment. It just did not show up. This one I used under my eyes a little bit and it worked pretty well for that. And then this top one that you almost can't see is the highlight, which I just may as well have not used. If you want a really subtle highlight, that's going to give it to you, or just something under the brow bone. I felt like this would almost kind of look muddy. It almost gave you that bruised look. It needed a little bit of warmth. So I would kind of mix these two. It worked. I just found I was putting a lot of effort into it. What I thought I liked at first, I didn't end up liking after a little while. So enter the Wet n Wild contouring palette in Dulce de Leche. This I like. I have this on today. And I do find that the color is really nice. It'd be great if they had a big old mirror in here, wouldn't it? So right there, you can see it's still got that cool undertone, but it's just a lot smoother. If I take my finger across that again, it almost disappears. This one, it just really doesn't. And I just really liked it a lot better. And then this too, I can dust this under my eyes or as a brow highlight, and it just worked a lot better. For me, the Wet n Wild required a little bit less effort, and it's about the same size as this. So if you're gonna be traveling with it or anything, there's really no difference in size. And I really feel like the color payoff is much better. So since you have your contour and your highlight or setting powder from that palette, you need a bronzer. And I've mentioned this in my December favorites. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. And I have the light shade. This is the only shade that I can find in any drugstore that I go to. I think there's another shade, but I haven't seen it. I love this bronzer. I wear this now as much as I wear my Too Faced Chocolate Soleil, as much as I wear Benefit Hoola. I love it. I just swatched it there. It's just a great natural color for a bronzer. I just think it's beautiful. I don't really care that it smells like butter, but it's a good drugstore bronzer. So 2 thumbs up for this. I can't tell you I've ever used this little chintzy sponge. I'm not sure what this is about, but it's there if you want a sponge. I don't. This product is not in a favorites yet, but it probably will be. I know it will be because I have been wearing this blush a ton. I mean, everybody knows this blush. I just, for some reason, was late to the bandwagon because I have not ever been a fan of NARS Orgasm Blush. I just didn't like it. I found it to be a little granular looking, and NARS blushes break me out. It's Milani Luminoso. If you're like me and for some reason you just have not picked this blush up because you think it's overhyped and overrated, go out and pick it up. It really is so pretty. It's a baked blush, so it's in this dome format. It does have a mirror under here and then a little brush there that I have never opened. I have it on today. It's just a great peachy coral blush that I think is just super flattering on so many skin tones. It's great in the summer, but I mean, I've been wearing it in the winter too. So I love this blush. I am so sorry that I waited so long to try this. It's great and it stays all day. It doesn't wear off on me, which I love. Sticking with Milani, and I did mention this in my January favorite, so it's going to be repetitive, but their number 26 Nude Cream lipstick. I discovered this from a couple of viewers. Thank you very much because I love it. It's not the creamiest lipstick. It's not drying, but it's not creamy. It's kind of in between, but it lasts a long time. It doesn't smell horrible like some drugstore lipsticks do. And it's just that great peachy, pinky nude that is really flattering and warm. It reminds me of the Rimmel number 54 Rock and Roll Nude that I have fallen in love with, but apparently it's limited edition. And it's along the same vein of my beloved Too Faced La Creme in Sugar Daddy that I talk about all the time. So I love it. It's a great drugstore nude option. I would highly suggest going out and getting these. I've never tried Milani lipsticks either, and these are really, really good. I've been impressed with this. I have mixed feelings about this next product. It is the Maybelline Lasting Drama Waterproof Gel Pencil in Glazed Toffee. I got this because it was suggested as a dupe for Urban Decay 24/7 eyeliners. Now, from the standpoint of it lasting a long time, this sucker lasts all day long. It didn't transfer, it didn't budge. I wiped my eyes watered, it did not move. So if you're looking for a drugstore liner that really does last, this really fit the bill there. It is very soft. Actually, I should have done that on camera. I mean, you barely have to touch it to your skin to get it to give you any color. So I find that it can almost put too much pigment on my eye. It almost comes off too much. I do have to use a light hand, and how I use it is I will apply it and then smudge it out with a smudging brush. I find that that's how I like it the best because it makes it look a little bit softer as opposed to just this harsh, thick line. I hope that makes sense. It is what I do have on my eyes today. I think it's really, really a good drugstore eyeliner if you want one that is going to last, but again, I recommend using a light hand with it because it is so soft. It does glide on, it does smudge easily, one eye at a time. I did one eye, smudged it, and the other eye and smudged it, and I was done, and it will not budge all day long. And when I say all day long, I mean morning until night, like 12, 14 hours. It's good stuff. I always seem to be filming at that weird time of day when the light is going down, and I apologize if my lighting changes. I'm going to talk about a few e.l.f. things now. I finally got around to trying the e.l.f. makeup remover pen. I couldn't find it forever. That's why it took me so long to try it. But if you don't have this and you wear any kind of eyeliner, I do recommend trying this, or mascara if you make mascara mistakes. But this is just a very easy way to clean up a line if you make a mistake, and it works well, and it's a nice convenience product. The next is the e.l.f. Hydrating Under Eye Primer. I feel like I'm in the minority. I didn't like this product. It's pumps out. See, okay, you saw right there. There's a big glob, if you haven't used it in a while, that you have to get through. So it pumps out. It's a lotiony type product, kind of thick feeling, and I just kind of found that I didn't really notice that it did much under my eyes at all. In my January favorites, I just talked about that Pure Hydrogel Lift Stick that I really do like under the eyes because I see a difference. And with this, I just feel like it kind of leaves it lotiony and wet and kind of sticky under there, whereas the Pure really actually does what it's supposed to do. And I finally got my hands on this e.l.f. Does this have an official name? Mint, well, it's Mint Maniac is the flavor, lip scrub. I got that Tarte lip scrub. I mentioned it in my December favorites. It's the one that looks like a pencil that you just swipe on and, you know, rub your lips together or rub your finger on your lips. But I love that format because it's so easy to travel with and it's not messy. And this is that same format. And I do feel like this one, if you compare it to the Tarte, it's a little bit stiffer in consistency and scratchier on the lips, which I think that's kind of the purpose of a scrub, is to kind of rub on your lips, but it didn't hurt. I like this. I like having a drugstore option that's not messy, and I would buy this again. I like this e.l.f. scrub, and it's a very faint mint smell, but sometimes I rub my lips together and just let it sit, and I wipe it away sometimes. Sometimes I just let it wipe away on its own. It's safe. It's a lip scrub. This is Milani's Retouch and Erase Lightening Concealer. This is a relatively new product. It is a sponge tip, just like the Age Rewind concealer from Maybelline, which I'm not a fan of. So you squeeze it out like so. Kind of weird. I don't like applying things directly from the applicator when they're like this because I feel like you just lose control of it. I just squeeze it out and put it on the back of my hand like that. I just put a dab of the medium light concealer here and a dab of the Tarte Shape Tape in light medium here. So there is a difference in shade, but I just kind of wanted to show you in consistency. It's a little, I don't know, it kind of feels very similar in consistency, maybe a little bit lighter in consistency, but fairly similar. And I've tried it out off and on over the past, 3 weeks to a month. And I actually quite like this for a drugstore concealer. I have used it on my face to spot conceal. I've used it down my nose to contour or help shape my nose a little bit. And a big test for me is whether it affects the makeup underneath it. It does not. And I've used it under my eyes. I do have it under my eyes today. I feel like it may give a tiny bit less coverage than Shape Tape, but it still covers well. When I use this is when I want a little bit more of a natural look than I get from Shape Tape. You know, maybe I want to just not have that kind of full coverage look, but I still want some coverage. And I feel like this is a little bit better for that. I'm not one that really liked the Maybelline Age Rewind. I'm going to try that again and try and give it a second chance, but I found it very drying, and I do not find this drying. And it is a refreshing thing to find a concealer that stays underneath the eyes, doesn't migrate, it doesn't crease if you have little lines that crease up during the day, and it lasts all day. In several videos throughout my channel's long history since August, I have talked about my Armani eye tint and how much I love that product. And I have compared it to some of the Maybelline color tattoos, and I'll mention it here and there. I also mentioned these Revlon Color Stay cream eyeshadows in my January favorites, which I do like, by the way. I just don't want to be repetitive in this video, so if you want to hear about these, go watch that video. But I do like them more than the Maybelline color tattoos. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Paints in Sunset Fire and Nude Fishnet. So Nude Fishnet and Sunset Fire. I also picked up the e.l.f. I'm going to have to find the official name of these from their new Aqua line. This one is Brushed Copper and this is Rose Gold. I always try and see if anything from the drugstore can possibly compare to my Armani eye tint. And so far, nothing really has totally, but, I'm always looking. Now, this is the Nude Fishnet. What I like is that you have a shimmer and a matte in the same tube. I think that's kind of cool because you could use the matte as a base. These have actually held up really, really well. Here's the shimmer in this Nude Fishnet, and here's the matte. I have that on my lid today. I hope you can see that. You may not be able to because my light's all funky. And I picked up the Sunset Fire because I really like a coral peachy shade, especially in the spring and summer, and it just looks so pretty. And I really blended this matte shade out the other day and it blended out nicely. I was able to incorporate it with some regular shadows, pressed shadows, and here's the shimmer shade. Just hoping y'all can see that. They last all day and they look good on the lid, and I feel like they layer pretty well. These, not very impressed with. I tried these a few times. I just find they're very sheer. Okay, so here's the rose gold and here's that copper color on the e.l.f. And I just find that these just did not wear quite as well during the day. They're a little bit sheer. You really have to build up the color. If you blend them at all, if you use your finger or a brush, it wipes some of the pigment away. So you either have to layer them and really work with them, and that during the day they did crease a little bit. And I am one that if I use a primer and I put on a liquid or a cream shadow, I never get creasing. So I was a little bit disappointed by the e.l.f. because they really are pretty when you just first put them on. So these may be something that I use and top with another shadow. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to use these. So that is it for this drugstore roundup, and I am going to do more of these because I think there's some really good things at the drugstore, and I know you guys like seeing drugstore things as well as mid and higher end things. I am keeping the primers that I am testing out in a separate video that'll be coming soon. I think I'm going to break that up into a couple of videos, but I have been testing out some drugstore primers. And I'm also looking at some powders too. So stay tuned for those, and I hope you enjoyed this video looking at drugstore products. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. If you're not following me on my social media, I'll put that on the screen now, and I will also put that in the description box below. I will see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.